Um, As I said, the service is entitled Holy Disruption, and we're going to take a look at what it means when our lives get disrupted and how we might be able to welcome that in a way that is nourishing to our spirits. Our prelude this morning is a song called Ancestors' Song, and I believe we are just going to sing it together, right? You should have, yeah. Has everybody gotten a handout with the lyrics? Okay, so you all can take it away and everybody join in.
I hear the voice of my ancestors calling me. I hear the voice of my ancestors call, singing. Wake up, child, wake up, listen, 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 listen. Singing, wake up, child, wake up, listen, 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 listen. Sing. I hear the voice of my ancestors calling me. I hear the voice of my ancestors call, singing. Stand in your power, child, stand in your power. Listen, 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 listen. Singing. Stand in your power, child, stand in your power. Listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my ancestors calling me. I hear the voice of my ancestors call, singing. Which side are you on, child? Which side? Which side? Listen, 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 listen. Singing. Which side you on, child? Which side you on? Listen, 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 listen. Singing. Wake up, child, wake up, listen, 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 listen. Singing. Stand in your power, child, stand in your power. Listen, 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 listen. Singing. Which side are you on, child? Which side are you on? Listen, 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 listen.
Thank you, Elliot, Allison, and everyone. We are going to enter into worship today with the words of Sharon Wiley. It is said that ministers are here to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfortable. I say that we are all afflicted, and we are all in some way comfortable. May our time together this morning be a comfort and a confrontation. May we here find peace in times of tumult. May we here invite tumult into lives of peace. May we here find calm in times of restlessness. May we here allow restlessness to evolve into action. Let this be the place you consider what you perhaps have never considered before. Let this be the place you imagine for yourself something new and perhaps unthinkable. May this hour bring dreams of new ways of being in the world. Come, let us worship together.
This will be our chalice lighting, and I'm going to read this poem by Laurel S. Sheridan called Take from Life Its Coals. Take from life its coals, not its ashes. Fan the flames of love and justice. Join hands and hearts in common endeavor, and there will be no limit to what we can achieve together. Please join with me in the unison affirmation printed in your order of service, which will also be on our screen over here. May the light of this flame and the weight of our words inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to serve in the spirit of life, in loving affection and trusting hope.
Our time for all ages today is going to be the reading of a story called My Mommy Marches by Samantha Hawkins, and we have a real treat here. Elliot and her mother, Allison, are going to read this story to us, so stay tuned, pay attention.
Any other children who want to come up close, you're welcome to. This is My Mommy Marches, written by Samantha Hawkins and illustrated by Corey Reed.
You should see my mommy when she marches.
She marches like the beat of a terrific giant drum. She marches ferocious and tall, like lightning burning across the open sky.
She is a mighty storm, like a roaring clash of thunder that rolls on and on.
You should really see my mommy when she marches.
She marches loud and happy, like a queen in a beauty parade, with her head held high, the curls in her hair bouncing up and down as she goes. She is a marching machine.
Mommy says that some things can't be said with just words.
Some problems can't be fixed by standing in one place. Sometimes you have to say it with your feet.
Mommy marches hand in hand, side by side, in crowds of people marching for the same thing, with people she knows and people she doesn't know.
But sometimes she marches by herself, just Mommy and the world.
Mommy marches through the sunshine, through the rain, and through the deepest snow.
She marches through tunnels, on sidewalks, and over bridges, all around our neighborhood and beyond our neighborhood too.
Mommy marches proud and passionate, with her face lit up in the biggest smile.
But sometimes she marches quietly with tears in her eyes.
She tells me that once upon a time, a long time ago, her mommy and grandma marched too.
They marched with signs held as high as the clouds. They walked, sat, stood, held hands, and sang songs, marching for equal rights and a better way of life.
I ask Mommy who she marches for. She says that she marches for everyone who cannot march like she can.
She marches to fix the big and small problems of the world, to say the things that need to be said,
To remind people how to love, to help take the pain away from the world. This is why my mommy marches.
I'm already learning to march. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. It's as easy as that.
I'm going to march for all the people out there who feel invisible or just want to be heard. I will march so no one has to be scared or sad ever again.
I will march until the frowning faces are turned upside down into smiles. I will march until the angry words fly far away and disappear forever. I will march for freedom, for kindness, and for love, just like my mommy.
Holy disruption, open my heart. Holy disruption, open my heart. Our lives are disrupted in some way every day, aren't they? I mean, sometimes this is a welcome disruption. We might have an unexpected phone call from somebody. We might get a hug, a letter in the mail. Those we often welcome, disruptions like that. Others may not be so welcome. A diagnosis from the doctor, news about a friend. There are disruptions that the world brings us: war, genocide, hunger, climate change, those disruptions that feel so much bigger than anything that we can do. Political shenanigans disrupt our sense of well-being. Even tumult in places that we may go for sanctuary, and perhaps this very place, disrupted by new ideas, miscommunications, a lack of ideal space, scampering children sometimes. Is there a way that we can view these disruptions as holy? Can such things serve as a spark that opens our hearts in some fashion? Maybe it's a call to action. Maybe it's an invitation to self-reflection, to personal growth. Maybe it's an invitation to having that one-on-one conversation that seems really hard to do. Maybe these disruptions can be viewed as holy when they invite us to fully engage with life. You know, take a moment to think about all the times that disruptions to life have spurred you to change things that you may not have considered before. And I know that we have all had our lives disrupted. We have all had those times when those disruptions have pointed us in a different direction. And it seems to me that life's disruptions offer us that entry point into life's richness. When our worlds are disrupted, we have the chance to pause and question what we value. We get to consider whether or not we are living a life that aligns with what we say we believe. I recently came across some emails that my daughter sent years ago when she was living in South Africa. She described visiting Robben Island to tour the prison where political prisoners were kept during apartheid, where Nelson Mandela and his compatriots lived for 19 years. So in her email, she said, "When we made it to the yard where members of Mandela's cell block exercised, I was struck dumb. I had read so much of this place, a place where so many people had spent such very great portions of their lives and remained optimistic, compassionate, and it floored me. As I stood there, I felt whatever it was that I was looking for. The experiences that took place in that space seemed to speak to me of the immense responsibility and potential that we have as human beings. If so many of those prisoners could emerge from those years, if so many people could have marched for civil rights and kept going knowing they were going in harm's way, if many of those prisoners could emerge from those years that were disrupted by their own actions, years that were disrupted by the ruling powers, if they could emerge with spirits whole and uncrushed, then what can't the rest of us do? How can anything that crosses our paths ever be too much? How can we ever claim that hatred and bitterness that creeps into us is justified, unavoidable, after what humanity has been through? We can't. That is my answer. We just can't. Holy disruption, open my heart.
Eid Mubarak, blessed Eid to everyone in every language and in every corner of the globe, especially to our Palestinian siblings, parents, grandparents, children, babies in their struggle. This whole week served as a proper holy disruption for myself and my family, so much that I almost canceled sharing this morning. It's been full of the sort of disruptions that cause you to stop in your tracks or to rearrange your entire day or week. We took a dear friend to urgent care. Our tiny 8-pound, 13-year-old ancient rescue Chihuahua ate a lethal dose of chocolate and spent the night in the emergency vet. He's okay. Our 4-year-old human child awoke at 1 a.m. crying out because of growing pains. And I learned that a high school friend died suddenly and unexpectedly. In moments where I consider talking myself out of doing something, I've found it is helpful to ask, how much of this is nerves? And how much of this is the undercurrent pulling me out to something bigger? Something scarier, maybe, but something necessary. I gave the UU a chance because I was invited, of course, by the wonderful, brave, powerful human being I get to call friend, Lauren Jean. And I immediately recognized I was surrounded by people a bit more like me, people I wanted to spend my time with, people who valued and sought after community and connection and to stir things up a bit. In a similar way, this is how I stumbled upon yoga and social organizing. Yoga found me nearly 15 years ago, and after taking my first class, I immediately knew it was something I wanted to seek a deeper connection with. About 3 years ago, I was searching for a 300-hour yoga teacher program that was centered around the full 8-limbed path of yoga, not just the physical postures that we see people twist themselves into here in the West. I relearned about the yamas, which is the first limb of yoga, considered to hold the moral or ethical code to live by, or a guidance for a right way of living. The yamas can be seen as things we do in community. And in this world that teaches us to be hyper-independent, community can be seen as one of the most effective forms of rebellion. Of the 5 yamas, the first 2 are ahimsa and satya. Ahimsa means non-harm, satya means truthfulness. They're seen as the main tenets of yoga. And it's really easy to think of that as super basic common sense morality, right? Don't cause harm, don't lie. We all know this. We hear it from our childhood. We teach it to our own children. But it goes beyond that. I came to understand that ahimsa is not passive, but an active practice. And a practice is something you have to do. Yoga was calling me to disrupt. I learned how even mental, social, emotional violence is still violence, and violence requires a disruption in order to be stopped. I can't wish it away. I can't pray it away. There's a ripple of harm if even one of us is harmed. Ahimsa calls us to disrupt that harm when we see it, speak out against injustice, oppression, occupation, genocide, bullying, racism, all the isms. To be maybe the only one in the room standing up and speaking out. Ahimsa called me to fully reckon with the idea that no one is free until we all are free. When I visited Israel and Palestine with my Jewish partner in 2022, a rough bus ride kicked my butt into extreme motion sickness and the worst panic attack I had experienced in my life. I attempted to call a cab so I didn't have to ride this awful bus anywhere again. And within minutes of my location, the cab ride canceled on me. So I attempted another and another, calling cabs, and the same thing happened. All rides canceled at the last second. I couldn't figure it out, and I considered it a minor frustration at best, a disruption. Finally, I walked a mile in the hot sun to the end of a dirt road, only to realize my cab drivers were all Arab or Palestinian, and they could not get to me. It was then that I started to piece together the way an entire group of people were treated as less than, blockaded, and barricaded. They could not drive on the same roads as others just to do their job and pick me up. My experience as a mother witnessing the pain and suffering of mothers in Gaza emboldened me to start protesting on the square for a free Palestine. And yet the planning and attending of a protest every single Sunday since December has been a disruption for my family, for our plans, for life around us, for the folks out there encountering us. It is here I find the holiness in disruption, the necessity of disruption. I hear the voice of my teacher, Tejal Patel, reminding me that the energy is now and the request is forever. How can we be actively kind, actively nonviolent? We can do this by centering the oppressed, by uplifting the marginalized, listening to the tiny, important voices of children, challenging the dominant narrative, and dreaming and disrupting and creating a newer, brighter, better way. Omar El-Akkad said, "One day, when it's safe, when there's no personal downside to calling a thing what it is, when it's too late to hold anyone accountable, everyone will have always been against this." This is the sort of disrupting and dreaming that children have the magic for. Kids, do you have the magic for disrupting and dreaming? Yes, definitely. Seeing the inherent good and cultivating it, growing it, singing it, chanting it, being maybe the only ones in the room to stand up and to speak out, to disrupt. Our kiddos love to chant, "Up, up with liberation, up with liberation, down, down with occupation, down, down with occupation, up with liberation, up with liberation, down, down with occupation, down, down with occupation, and free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine, free, free, free Palestine, free, free, free Palestine." This holy disruption is what it means when we are out on the square every Sunday singing, "Break the cycle of violence, break the cycle of violence. Thousands die by your silence. Thousands die by your silence. Break the cycle of violence. Break the cycle of violence. We need a ceasefire now. We need a ceasefire now. We need a ceasefire now. As it is Pride Month, I'll end with a quote and an invitation. The quote is from the fearless, unapologetic Black transgender activist Marsha P. Johnson, who said, "There is no pride for some of us without liberation for all of us." And the invitation is to come, walk, bike, ride with us to the square immediately following service, to stand up, to speak out, and to cause a bit of holy disruption.
Holy disruption, open my heart. You know, we may not all be the parents of children, but we all have certainly been children. And we know that the nature of children is disruption. Even the most wanted children disrupt the lives of those around them by their need for care, attention, for love, by their abundant energy, by the questions they pose. And I remember when my children were younger, so many times all I wanted was a few moments of peace and quiet to myself, to be able to take a bath, wash my hair. But I also remember being a child and treasuring the times when the adults around me saw me and responded to the need that I had for affection, for love, and for direction. And the times when I was misunderstood, when I was scolded for something that I did or I didn't do, or I was pushed aside as adult concerns overweighed mine. As parents, as any adult caring for children, we carry a great responsibility to the young and to ourselves. And at times, this can be a really tricky balance to achieve when we want to be quiet and focus and when there's that holy disruption happening in the same space. In the end, though, we are always teaching, whether we think we are or not. Children learn from us as we learn from those adults around us when we were younger. And one of the greatest understandings I came to as a parent was the realization that the children in my care were not simply children. They were little people in the process of becoming. And that, like it or not, part of my role, my responsibility was to remember this and to do my best to pay attention to how I was living my life. And the point was not to strive for perfection, because we know that that's a myth. There are no perfect adults, there are no perfect children. But the goal is to live as honestly as I could, to do my best to welcome the disruptions in ways that held space for honoring the integrity of us all. Holy disruption, open my heart.
You gonna stand by me, buddy? Holy disruption is a wonderful term for the service and really explains my life right now. I said I would never work at a cannonball park in my career with the National Park Service, because when I came to Gettysburg in 8th grade, this is the first place I heard war of northern aggression, and it's the first place I heard states' rights, that was about that. By happenstance and because of a global pandemic and living in a place where it was really hard to get food, and then traveling to a family home in Michigan, I realized maybe I should apply to work somewhere we can access things a little bit easier, a little less remote. And so I did apply for this job in Gettysburg on a whim. And this is what I saw when I rolled into town, and I knew it was the right place. I saw this sign, and I said, finally, they got it. It was about Black Lives Matter. It's not about states' rights. Anyway, and this turned out to be one of the most wonderful places I could have landed, and I don't want to move away. The kids and I talk about it all the time. I've moved a lot, and I wish to stay. Another important sign that I have by my door says, it is in collectivities that we find reservoirs of hope and optimism. This is Angela Davis stated this, one of the surviving non-assassinated Black Panthers, amazing woman. So this particular, this particular sweet little Unitarian Universalist church and group is my collectivity, and it is the heart of my week. Everything I do is surrounding planning to go to the UU, what's happening here, and the farmer's market a little bit, I'm gonna be honest. But this is what I'm here for. Why is it that this is my the heart of my week, because you all made it thus. You made it abundantly clear that I and my children were welcome here, as is. And you pivoted into the adventure of having young children in a church that at that time had no childcare at all. I originally visited during the pandemic, and then again afterwards with my children one time. And I remember thinking, oh no, my kids are acting like human children. They have uttered noises, they have had questions, they have wiggled, they did not stay in their seats, they wandered, they talked to people, they made paper airplanes with somebody. But I thought, oh, this is not gonna work out. And my parenting partner works on Sundays. So, and everybody said, well, you can just come on Zoom. And what I did is I continued to go to my first UU, my home previous to her home, UU Church, Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church in Knoxville. I would go and watch their services on Facebook Live and chat with my friends there in the comments and say, hello, how are you doing? Love you. But no, you may not go downstairs. You can hang out here with all of your friends for the, yeah, that's, but I was lonely. I missed my church. I wasn't there physically with them. And I talked with Chris Eisel all the time, who fortunately, when I moved here, I moved in next door, and her son was my immediate neighbor. He actually said, with your parenting style, you might really be interested in Unitarian Universalism. I'm not really into promoting a religion. I'm just saying the way you speak to your children, it seems like there'd be a lot of other people like you. And I said, well, that's convenient because I'm a Unitarian Universalist. So anyways, Chris has always kept contact and is very good at welcoming people and said, come back. And she said, the noise is okay here. We love kids. I said, are you sure? Yes. Everyone would love your children here and would rather have you here with your kids making noise than miss out on you. So we made our way down. I live around the corner. We made our way down the street around the corner. Unicorn onesie, pajamas, and fedoras on. And Kaya put a mermaid into this bowl when there was joy and sorrow. She had a tiny little mermaid, and she just went up there and put it in. And the next week we came back, and Boone was sure to bring a mermaid of their own to put in that bowl as well. Joanne and Linda, who are not here today, they're getting ready for vacation, asked if we needed some Gettysburg grandmas. Florence invited us to sing with her in the choir, the children. And even though there's some unreliability in that and disruption, she invited us and has talked with us about lots of opportunities there. Within 3 services of coming here, we had the most radically accepting experience, which was you all decided to make a bubble service about joy. I think that's what it was. Was it every time you say joy, people blew bubbles? I think that was the key word. Everybody had big bubble wands. My kids were the only kids there. And everybody was blowing bubbles at my children the entire service anytime anybody said joy. Now, if that isn't a way of saying, we see you, you are fine the way you are, and we're embracing where you're at. We're happy you're here. And that's why I come back. That's how it happened. You all found a specific way to show me how excited you were and share the space with me and my children. Welcoming folks isn't just words or a chair or saying, I have place for you. It's an adjustment to the disruption of new people, their history, their patterns, their ideas, their lived experiences. It is a pivot into the now and into the future. It is a joyful embrace of the temporary chaos of truly getting to know a new person or new people. Welcoming folks means making space that is comfortable for people to be in, for people and service animals. That is how we become a collectivity. We merge into that, even if it's one group and another group coming together and being a bigger group. And this is where we find hope. And I just think it's so wonderful that that is the picture we had earlier, because that was my ending word. is that because it's in collectivities that we find reservoirs of hope and optimism. And I love that you brought us a really, really big piece of hope today. That made me feel very special. And that is what I love about being here. Thank you. I love you all. You are precious to me.
Holy disruption, open our hearts. Let us be part of the love we can give. Let us be part of the love we have to share. Our closing words are by Tanaya Marquez. Do not fear agitation, for agitation is the rhythm of life itself, to be put into motion, to be stirred. Do not fear the movements that decenter what you always thought permanent. You carry within the center of your understanding the compass to show you the way. Carry with you the love that will hold you, the vision that will guide you, the relationships to all beings, and the world that will ground you. Go in peace and in gentle agitation to stir this world to the side of love.